So I'm Jasper, I am the David Hockney specialist here at my art broker. Where to start with David Hockney? It's a real tough one because such a mature market, mature artist as well, who's been exceptionally busy in the public eye with sort of the Lightroom exhibition, which captured all the newspapers and everybody's attention, particularly here in London and elsewhere. Looking at Hockney's market overall, and it's a big market, it's a broad market. We all know that Hockney explored loads and loads of different mediums, early sort of etchings, all the way up to sort of digital iPad works, which he began in 2010. So the market has been steady. Looking closer at the statistics, it actually probably has, in terms of sales volume, it's actually decreased, and average sale price has actually decreased very marginally compared to sort of other artists' markets, Banksy. We saw quite a significant drop off in that, but the market is generally held out because it's a much more mature market. Reasons for this, it's quite difficult to pin it down to anything specific. We saw, which is unlike Hockney, we saw quite a few pieces that failed to sell at auction. We saw less works coming through as a result of it, probably because people looking to sell saw these results and wanted to sell in a stronger market. Or alternatively, they looked to come for a private sale and try to achieve a higher price and place a work with a collector that really, really wanted it. But generally, overall, there's still a good sentiment from buyers. I'm speaking to buyers all the time and that they're looking for the best works by Hockney. I can pin out a few series and a few individual works which were in huge demand. So that helped to prop up the market. There's always going to be buyers looking at value. If we look at the overall art market currently, it's slightly soft in a way. So I think there has been, moments of brilliance, really good sales. The overwhelming image is that it has been slightly soft and not as exciting as perhaps we first thought during the beginning of the year. So with the arrival of spring, more recently, we've got clients looking for very specific ones from specific seasons. January, February, March have been really in demand from new collectors, established collectors. But clients are also looking for the works, of course, priced at the right level. They've seen the auction results that these works made in 2022 and 2023, which were exceptionally strong. This is when they first started to appear on the market, which was really positive. But then at that level with the arrival of springs, it really becomes about excess. They were only released as an edition of 25. A lot of these just stay in collections and don't move. They're not as traded as freely as, say, something like a Damien Hirst or a work by Banksy, which has that much faster process of moving from one collection to another. These often get bought at release and stuck on the wall and only really come to sale in exceptional circumstances. So that's why the demand is so great. But because there's so many in the series, everybody wants a specific one, which isn't the one that we always have access to. The size of the works are 140 by 110 centimetres, so they're one of Hockney's largest prints that he's produced, and of course all signed on the front. So there's a real attraction to them, and which why I think collectors are really drawn to them recently. The complete sets, which are a very rare offering, because unlike other artists, which is obvious to name, who produced huge amounts of actual sets that were kept as actual sets, Hockney didn't really do that. And so there was one set that came to auction called the Dog Wall, which is one of Hockney's most iconic images, not just as a set, but as individual etchings of dogs. Obviously that's a huge motif for Hockney and it's very important. And that piece performed well above the estimate or people's expectations. And again, it's those collectors just seizing opportunities, once in a generation opportunities. I don't think that's a stretch to say, to buy something like that, matching set with the correct provenance. And so those are huge opportunities. We also saw, and it's a really interesting case study, which is the Rake's Progress, which is the full set of early etchings. Given the timeline, how old they are, it's fair enough to assume that there's not many collections out there which are a full portfolio and that are in good enough condition to be sold. But if you look at the performance of that particular set, what it's sold for over the last 10, 20 years, it's fascinating. You can see the huge growth. You can see the financial gain that by holding something like that you can make, even in a generally soft market. So that was really exciting. Typically what we see is, a really popular set that you never really see as a set would be his Weather series, that 1973, I think. You know, individually as works, these sell for anywhere from sort of 40 to 60,000 pounds, and they're sort of really loved works by Hockney and sort of hugely cherished, and naturally that's why they sort of come in at that price point. I think there was a full set that sold a year before last and sold exceptionally well, as expected. We had so much demand, so many of my clients were looking for either individual works or, and again, as I've just said, that the sets just don't really come up. And then in sort of more recent times with David Hockney's Flowers, so this is works that he did in 2010 on an iPad. We've seen quite a few sets come through privately and perform exceptionally well. We've always achieved quite a fast sale in those. Just goes to show that serious collectors and also new collectors are really looking at sets, complete sets of works, because it's nice for the works, because they've always been together. Why not keep them together?